What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the Locks DFS Thursday night showdown breakdown video. I'm your host, Christian Hardy, by Hardy on Twitter from locksdfs.com. I'm with Adi Narang, at Really Adi on Twitter, and we are back doing NFL videos. Adi's laptop is fixed, and we're back here to break down another showdown video. Most of you guys like these, I think, so we thought we'd bring them back for the last few weeks of the season. Adi, how's it going?
It's going good, man. Excited to do this. I'm excited to start breaking down these videos again. My bad about the past few weeks. My laptop has just been bugging. I was complaining to you like the whole 2 weeks that it was going on, but just huge battery issues. And every time I tried to record a video, like I couldn't have any of this sort of like Zoom or QuickTime, whatever we used to record open. It would just kill the battery. But I figured it out, fixed it. So now we're good to go. So, yeah, excited to be bringing you guys these videos. Adi's Action will be back this week. I know a lot of you guys asked me about that. The NFL Cash Logs, that'll be back this week. And then these showdown videos, they'll continue throughout the rest of the season. So, excited to be making content again.
Let's go ahead and give away the free season pass. As you guys know, we do the free season pass giveaway every single week on these Thursday videos. Of course, we haven't done the last few weeks because we haven't had these videos. We're going to give it to Young Ish, a guy who's been commenting all season long. I'm sure he'll be happy to hear his name finally called on this video. Ish, hit us up in the DMs, LocksDFS, or at me on Twitter, and we will get you that season pass. Thank you so much for commenting. Of course, on this video, you'll have a chance to win that pass, for next week. You can comment on this video with your favorite cash play, your favorite GPP play, whatever it might be. But a pretty and then let's talk about Prizepicks, of course, which we will be breaking down some of the top plays on Prizepicks, some pretty solid ones, honestly. I think, even though the pool isn't as big as like an NBA slate. Obviously, you have a lot of options and projections to go through, whereas this one you only have 9 guys. So your decisions are a little bit tighter, but still some solid lines. Adi, do you want to talk about Prizepicks and people coming back to Prizepicks, trying them out, and kind of our free picks on doing that on the video?
Right. So as you guys know, since you've been watching these videos for like the past year or so, we did partner with Prizepicks about, maybe close to a year ago, 8 months ago, or something like that. But they've made a bunch of changes to their product now. They've upgraded a lot of things that I'm going to talk about. So, go ahead and check these guys out. It's essentially a site where, Christian's got it up right now. It's a site where you pick, it's a new sort of daily fantasy site, a little twist on things because it merges sports betting into it, where you basically pick the over under on player props. You can pick up to 4 player props and parlay them together, 2 through 4. So like, for example, how Christian's clicked on these 4 guys, Lamar Jackson, Jameson Crowder, Marquis Brown, Robbie Anderson. You can pick the over under on either one of these guys, plug it in. And as you can see, if you go by their power play, which is you got to hit all your entries. The 2-pick entry will pay out 2.5x, 3-pick entry 5x, the 4-pick entry 10x, and then they also have added this flex play, which is part of the new things that they've been rolling out. It's a good way to sort of hedge your money. 4 for 4 if you get them all right. It doesn't pay out 10x, it only pays out 5x, but you also get some insurance because if you only get 3 of those picks right, instead of losing your money outright, you still get paid out 1.5x on your money. So pretty cool way to make sure that you can see some profit in this, even if you don't get all the picks right. If you scroll up, Christian, you can see that like they've added, or go back to board for me. You can see that they've added first half for NFL as well. They've also added second half for the primetime games, which I personally believe that there's a pretty big edge.
Definitely. Well, I've been looking at them. I've been keeping an eye on them for the NBA. I haven't taken any yet, but last night I was looking at them because they had some second half lines, and I think it was someone got hurt last night in the first half, and I'm forgetting who it was.
In the late games?
I think it might have been Jamal Murray.
Yeah, it was Jamal Murray. Trump contusion.
And I started looking at the lines because of that, but I think that in general that there could be some edge there for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And, of course, not taking the it'll get voided if you take the player that if he's out in the second half, it'll get voided. But if you can still use that to find an edge in terms of who's going to get more usage. But also in NFL, you start to, you can bet on game script. This is the same thing with DraftKings second half. Game script, of course, but also just knowing, especially with a team like the Patriots, for example, knowing how they've been playing that first half. And, of course, not the Patriots, I'm expecting second half changes, but you'll know more about who they're going to play in the second half based on the first half snaps if you paid attention. So I don't know. Yeah, of course, there's edge in second half, but that's a whole different
Right.
topic.
But that second half board typically goes live after kickoff. So you can be on the lookout for that. And just in general, I mean, there's a big edge to prop betting. Like, I don't know how many of you are sports bettors, but if you consistently sports bet, I mentioned this on my NBA video a few days ago. If you consistently only place your bets on props at sports books, live or online, you'll eventually get restricted because, props are viewed as a way to attract people into sports betting because it's a much easier thing to beat than, spreads, money lines, etc. Stuff like that. Player props are much easier. So the fact that you get to just like parlay some of these player props, we'll get into it and give away some of the picks we like as we talk about those respective players. But it's more than it's certainly beatable. And especially like, I mean, this Thursday, I'll have some takes about these price props and, I guess we should just hop into the slate, with all that being said.
We'll be
actually, let me one second. Let me go ahead and mention, if you haven't deposited on Prizepicks yet, go ahead and sign up using promo code LOCKS. They'll give you a 25% bonus match, as well as a free 2-pick flex to win up to $25. Then I was talking to the guys at Prizepicks, and I wanted to do something for our returning members who have already signed up at Prizepicks. So you'll go ahead and get offered that exact same bonus. That's 25% match and a free 2-pick to win $25. Just for the returning members, make sure you reach out to support. Tell them you've deposited using promo code LOCKS, and they will hook you up right away. They have a great customer service team over there. I know a lot of those guys. So definitely check that out. That 25% match has no drip. It's just straight cash into your account, and you only have to roll it over one time. So it's honestly one of the better DFS bonuses available right now. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Remember to use promo code LOCKS when signing up.
And if you do it, pay attention to our Twitter. We'll be giving away some Prizepick stuff coming up on Twitter. So keep an eye on that. Probably leading up to Sunday, I would guess. Okay, so looking at the Thursday night slate, we obviously have a pretty one-sided game here. It's the first game here. It's because the logos aren't on the screen. 45 over-under, been bet up 1 point, and the Ravens have a 30.25 team total, and the Jets have a 14.75 team total. Really, really banged up Jets team going on the road to Baltimore on a short week. It's going to be pretty rough for them, I think. Lamar Jackson is banged up, but is going to play. He says he's feeling fine. He's going to play. Mark Andrews is a little bit more iffy. He missed practice Monday, I think just Monday, and then, limited on Tuesday and Wednesday. So he sounds like he'll play. Not sure. Below Powell is out. Demarius Thomas likely to be out. Also, Ryan Griffin is out, starting tight end for the Jets, who, he's been a threat around the red zone this year, especially towards down the stretch this year. Ty Montgomery is expected to back up Le'Veon Bell, who will return after missing last week. So most of those injuries that I just read off, of course, except for Andrews and Jackson, are on the Jets side. The defense is equally as banged up. The offensive line has a few injuries. It's a tough spot for the Jets here, and I think it's going to be pretty one-sided. I think you're going to see the highest ROI on these teams that are 5-1 or 4-2, being 5 Baltimore, 1 Jet, or 4 Baltimore, 2 Jets. There is some decent Jets value on the slate because of those injuries we talked about, and we'll get into that. So pretty much on these Lamar Jackson slates, I mean, to be honest with you, especially on FanDuel, you don't have to pay extra premium to roster a guy in the captain spot. Obviously, you should be having Lamar Jackson captain. You can make some teams on DraftKings that don't have Lamar Jackson captain, but it's not like any of these prices outside of Lamar are really standing out. Like, Sam Darnold's priced up. He doesn't make sense as a captain in this matchup. Le'Veon Bell is pretty priced up. He doesn't make sense as a captain to me. The only one potentially is like Marquis Brown. But like he's got to catch 2 touchdowns to even compete with the Lamar Jackson captain team. It's all these guys outside Lamar Jackson in terms of captain, pretty thin to me. Obviously you could try it, but it's a whole different game when you put Lamar Jackson in the game. Or when you have Lamar Jackson on these 1-game slates. So I would pretty much just be going with that. I don't think we need to say much about Lamar Jackson. This is we can, it's a decent matchup. The Jets defense is banged up. But Lamar Jackson also banged up, that you can make that a case against him. But at the end of the day, it's a guy averaging like over 70. I mean, he has over 1,000 rushing yards this season in 13 games. So, do that math. It's like over 70 rushing yards a game. That's 7 points. Like his floor is so high because of that. The offense is extremely efficient. The Jets defense, secondary especially, and interior is even banged up, is bad. So it's Lamar Jackson should have a field day here. no problem putting him captain. Do you want to say anything else about the Lamar Jackson matchup?
Yeah, they're missing Jamal Adams, their best defensive player. They're missing Quentin Williams. They traded Leonard Williams to the Giants, who was their best run defender, and they're also missing C.J. Mosley, who's on the injured reserve now. This is the same defense that gave up over 60 rushing yards to Ryan Fitzpatrick. So you're 100% playing Lamar Jackson, and yeah, like Christian said, he's a lock in your captain spot on FanDuel, where obviously you don't have to pay 1.5 times salary for your captain. And on DraftKings, I do think he's probably the optimal captain. If you run this game, 10 times, he's probably the optimal captain majority of the times there. So, and then his prop on Prizepicks as well is 23.
Oh,
yeah. 23.3. That's an over for me.
Yeah, we'll talk about some other ones, but that's a pretty clear top one here. 23.3 is really, really good. No bonuses, but obviously Lamar Jackson PPR doesn't matter, but it is full PPR on Prizepicks.
Yeah, full PPR with no bonuses, but Lamar Jackson averages 27.3 on FanDuel, which is you can use FanDuel scoring for this for quarterbacks, and then for receivers, it's a little bit in between, but 27.3, you're getting 4 points on his player prop. That seems pretty optimal to me.
Yeah. Okay, so going on from there, highest price guys after that: Mark Ingram, Sam Darnold, and Le'Veon Bell. If we're just going straight down, let's just talk about Baltimore in general, and I think we'll just touch on the Jets pieces after we talk about Baltimore. This is such a one-sided game that I don't really want to talk too much about any of these Jets. Mark Ingram is going to be, he's going to play about 55% of the snaps.
Something
55 to 60% of the snaps possibly. And a blowout could be less. Obviously, this is expected to be that. They could give Justice Hill some work down the stretch. They could give Gus Edwards some more work. I think in a game where they're likely to control pretty heavily, Ingram probably will get used less. But still is going to be a guy who they're going to go to in the red zone plenty and has opportunities. What do you think about Mark Ingram?
Yeah, this is going to be a game where Baltimore finds a ton of success on the ground. Mark Ingram, if he doesn't get there, it's going to be on like running bad as far as, not getting the touchdowns. Right. Maybe he, like we saw Mark Ingram's showdown game. I forgot who it was versus where, he got him down to like the 5-yard line on like a 20+ yard run. And then Gus Edwards got the touchdown, stuff like that. Could be how he doesn't get there. Obviously, his pass game role isn't like a elite RB1 pass game role, but it's still serviceable. Target counts of 4, 1, 2, and 3 in his last 4 games. He is a little bit expensive, but I do think is probably warranted on the slate just to get as much exposure to the guys who are going to be moving the ball down the field. That's Ingram. That's Lamar Jackson. I really don't mind going double running back for Baltimore on this spot. I think if you do that, as we always talk about, you want to be correlated. So I think that could be correlated really well with the Baltimore Ravens defense. We'll talk more about that when we get into talking about the Jets side of things. But yeah, I think Mark Ingram's an awesome play on the slate. I think he'll be one of the more popular plays as well.
Yeah, one thing is just high leverage opportunities in terms of like him getting the ball around the end zone. Like, he's definitely going to be the guy most of the time, but like you said, Edwards, like you said, Lamar Jackson, and also I don't have the numbers like in front of me on this, but I feel like I said this a lot, that exact thing a lot. But I feel like the Ravens run so much so many play fakes in the red zone where it's like they'll use Ingram almost like as a decoy a lot of times, and then use these short passes. Lamar rolling out, could run, it could be a read option pass. They do all sorts of different things in the red zone instead of just running the ball up the middle, because they are a very creative offense. And, even though they do establish a run the ball, they still do a lot of very interesting things. And that, I think, takes away from Ingram, especially because Lamar Jackson rushing equity. But, of course, I still have interest in Ingram, and going to be someone that, definitely I think you're probably could very well need, I should say.
Yeah, and I think with that point you just made, Mark Andrews is super questionable for this game. If he were to miss, not only would the backup tight ends like Nick Boyle and Hayden Hurst see upgrades, but Mark Ingram sees one of the biggest upgrades because of just touchdown equity alone. Mark Andrews is their go-to guy in the red zone. If you take that away, you really have to boost the touchdown equity of guys like Mark Ingram, including, guys like Lamar Jackson as well, on the ground at least.
Their Beverly to the locker room. They're gonna.
Lou Williams is about to.
Lou Williams about to go off. Yeah.
So Keep an eye on that Mark Andrews news and just think critically about who that really affects if he were to be ruled out, because I don't know how many people would think of the RB1 getting the positive effects of that, but in this specific matchup on this specific team, it definitely would be. But
I
yeah,
know you like Marquis Brown a lot. So Mark Andrews for me is going to be just pretty much a GBP play because it's just already playing pretty limited snaps and is going to be playing a short week on a knee injury in a game they should dominate. It just doesn't look good for his snaps in this game. He's just a GBP play for me, like I said. Could end up with 2 touchdowns or something, but it seems tough in this spot. And then you talk about Marquise Brown, obviously highest amount of snaps he's played all year. Last week,
yeah,
Jamal Adams out. That could help a little bit as well if they're trying to double Marquise or something like that on these pass plays.
yeah.
What's kind of your take on Marquise?
I mean, this Jets secondary is awful. Jamal Adams being out definitely is one of the biggest like hindrances to that secondary's chances of having success. This is a game where Marquise Brown, he could easily run like, I mean, last week he ran 21 routes. This is easily a game where he could run like 11 routes and still smash on the slate, just because it's like a Miami Dolphin type game all over again, where this is a guy who can, not only can he house one, like the whole distance, but he would also benefit from touchdown equity increase without Mark Andrews. He already has some pretty high touchdown equity on his own. I just love the spot for him. I mean, it's a great matchup. I think his Prizepicks prop is too low for me as well. I mean, it's lower than Jamison Crowder's, so I think Jamison Crowder's is fair, but I think Marquise Brown, he's the wide receiver 1 on the winning team that's projected to score over 30 points. And his Prizepicks prop is 9.4 on a PPR site. I think he could get 9.4 in one play. So I definitely don't mind him here. I mean, if he scores a touchdown, he smashes that. And this is a great for him to score a touchdown in.
Yep.
I think he makes a lot of sense. And he may come in a little bit under-owned because people are just going to be concerned about volume.
No, he definitely will. I don't think he'll be in a lot of cash constructions.
Yeah, and
I
so
don't think. I haven't built like a super ton, but
right, because volume is obviously a concern, and it would be annoying if a guy like Jamison Crowder were to outscore him strictly on garbage time.
right.
But we can't really plan for that. Like, we just have to assume that this guy is 8.2K wide receiver 1, sees majority of the air yards, majority of the target share, just really cheap for
Okay, so going down, you like Gus Edwards, like kind of, if we go through game logs, it can be tough for him to get carries, but you see when he does see an increased workload, it's usually in games that they're blowing the opponent out. And of course, they've been through 2 tough games, San Francisco, Buffalo, 2 very good teams. They're in a more in a situation where they should win this game pretty handily, so he should get more carries. Not going to be involved in the passing game, but he also could be involved around the goal line for sure. He's a solid play right here. Willie Snead is right above him. Again, a GBP play for me. Probably doesn't get enough routes for me to really consider him, especially when you have guys right below, that get similar routes run and similar. They should play similar snaps. Maybe not. Hurst will be a little bit under him if Andrews is out, but if Andrews even limited, Hurst will probably match Snead snaps.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's talk about the tight end preference. Boyle, can you pull the snaps for me and see kind of what they played with Andrews out last week?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, regardless of these snap counts, it's going to be Hayden Hurst that he's the primary. It's going to be the primary beneficiary. He is more of their pass catching tight end.
Right.
He's shown some pass catching upside last week. He had a 61-yard touchdown run. Catch and run, I should say. And Nick Boyle, despite playing, Nick Boyle played 90% of the snaps last week. Hayden Hurst played 47%. But Nick Boyle is a guy who they do view primarily as a blocker. He does run routes. He was second in the team in routes run last week, 18 behind Marquise Brown's 21. But Hayden Hurst had 14 routes run, played almost half the snaps. So he's definitely the guy that I think sees the biggest beneficiary without Mark Andrews, just because he's the most replicable guy. Like, you can just plug him in for Mark Andrews and he'll probably perform within like 5-10%.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, I prefer Hurst as well.
Mm-hmm.
The kicker, Tucker is fine, of course. On the winning team, he's definitely the kicker you prefer. Both of the kickers are priced up $200 from the normal prices, probably just based on it being a Thursday game. I'm not really too sure about that. no one really else, you can – I wouldn't really try to punt it off with Miles Boykin. Wouldn't really try to – Seth Roberts runs some routes, but he's been relatively unproductive for the most part. So I think he might have caught one touchdown this year. Yeah. So, he's going to run some routes, but he's pretty thin. Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on to the Jets because we've been going on for a while now. Let's try to run through the Jets pretty quick.
One last quick note on the Ravens before we hop into the Jets. If you really want to take the stance of Baltimore just absolutely crushing them, I think this is a matchup where we can see Justice Hill even get like double-digit carries if they crush him, and they just crush him. Like he got 3 carries last week. If they're just absolutely busting them, I could totally see him getting up to like 8-10 carries. So if you really want to get thin here and go with like a triple running back Lamar Jackson Ravens defense type stack, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. So
that's basically a quadruple running back because Lamar's
a quadruple running back Ravens defense stack and just go for like a 40-0 smash game, which is in the realm of possibility. I think like more power to you. I think it's fine.
For the Jets, I think Sam Darnold's a little too expensive. I also don't mind the under on his Prizepicks number. I wouldn't love to bet the under on any quarterback at 14, but I feel comfortable betting the under there. I'm probably not going to be having him in cash because I prefer getting more touchdown equity with some of these Baltimore guys, and you pretty much have to make that decision. But I still think that if I'm going to pick one of these high-priced guys for the Jets, I don't feel confident enough in the volume of the rest of them. Possibly Le'Veon Bell because I think that Darnold's going to be constantly under pressure in this game and have to throw these short passes, and maybe that benefits Bell. But we've thought that before with Bell, and it hasn't really panned out for him, in some of these situations. So I think Le'Veon Bell just kind of sucks, and but he's 9,400, and if he catches 6 passes, then he's probably going to be necessary on the other side of this. And 6 passes definitely seems like it's in the realm of possibilities. Obviously, do you have a preference between Darnold and Bell?
I would lean Bell here. The only spot that this Ravens defense has shown any holes in is their run game, or is defending the opposing team's run game, I should say. So I think the only case for the Jets hanging in this game is to literally put the ball in Le'Veon Bell's gut like 30 times. They called him close pretty much 100% on Monday.
Yeah.
So he should be good to go. His workload is very secure with Bilal Powell spraining his ankle and being out for this game.
That does help him a decent amount. Plus Montgomery's banged up. I kind of did forget about that when I was thinking about Bell. Yep.
Yes, I think I definitely prefer Bell to Darnold here. This, for me, Darnold, this is a seen ghost game for Darnold. He's got the 3rd worst offensive line in football, and they're just progressively getting worse. And this Baltimore defense is just progressively getting better. They got an elite pass rush. They only rank about 15th in the league, but that's just because they like barely even blitz because they're literally so good. Their secondary is so good. All their sacks are like coverage sacks. So I'm big I'm big against, I should say, on Sam Darnold having any success in this game. I think this is a seen ghost game for him for sure.
For the Jets, I don't really think we need to talk about their wide receivers too much. I prefer Crowder because, like we said, they'll probably have to go with short A-dot passes in this game. Crowder's obviously going to run more of those types of routes. But either one aren't. Even if I was building quite a bit of teams, I wouldn't get too much of. To be honest with you, I don't really see how Robbie Anderson beats this defense too much unless he gets lucky. And I definitely like the under on his Prizepicks at 10.7. Unless he gets, like I said, like a big catch or something, or of course a touchdown, then which the Jets aren't expected to score many touchdowns in this game.
Dude, that under on Robbie Anderson seems easy. I don't want to ever call a player prop easy, but that one seems kind of easy. I mean,
his last 3 games is what people will see, but
for sure. But he's played Cincinnati and Miami. I think the only case to him is because Robbie Anderson wouldn't even be a good PPR play, but without Demaryius Thomas, his PPR upside is definitely higher. Mm-hmm. But Robbie Anderson's a guy who has a high ADOT and lives on the deep ball. Like, if Darnold doesn't have any time to throw, Robbie Anderson is the guy that's going to suffer the most. So I think they could use Robbie Anderson more in the Demaryius Thomas role here, which is lower ADOT passes, and they could use Vincent Smith in the Robbie Anderson role. But still, 10.7, I think even on a PPR site like Prizepicks, I think that under feels pretty safe.
So Demaryius Thomas is doubtful. Fine with the kicker, but not really trying to usually put the kicker on a losing team, and because I'm not trying to play both kickers, and I'd probably just pay the 200 for Tucker. Ty Montgomery will play a backup running back role. How much value is there really in playing the backup running back on a 14.75 team total? Not a lot. Probably prefer to go to the other guys here. Pretty low floor there. Ryan Griffin is out, which is going to open up a start for Daniel Brown, who played like 80% of the snaps after Griffin left last week, so he just slotted right into his role. He's a decent value play, in my opinion, just because, like we say, anyone who's under the kickers and has a decent role in the offense is going to be in play because they can definitely get there on, they can get the 3X easily. That's 3 catches for 30 yards. That's 4 catches for 20 yards. It doesn't take a lot for him to get there. And then, of course, the top value on the slate, probably point per dollar wise, is Vincent Smith at 600. Also sounds like a play that could definitely bust right in your face wow, that sounded terrible.
Let that go.
but Vincent Smith, he's playing on a 14.75 team total. He could potentially be the 5th receiving option if you put him under the tight end on this team. Definitely has a low floor, but he also is going to fill in for Demaryius Thomas and, could see 5, 6 is pushing it because they're probably not going to move the ball very much. But, 5 targets and you hope that he catches, 2 passes for like 24 yards and that, at 600, that could actually be on the banking team potentially.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they, Vincent Smith is the biggest beneficiary of Demaryius Thomas being out. And of Ryan Griffin being out,
that's gonna help
guys to get a lot of passes. So it just opens up, increased target share for a guy like him.
It's just so tough with this Jets team. Okay, so we're just talking about the Jets in general. How about this? How about I wrap it up with this? Your favorite? How would you rank your Jets, point per dollar wise, or just guys that you want and guys that you think you'll have the most exposure to?
I mean, because you're forced to play one. I'd go with the cheapest one. So I think point per dollar wise, I would go with Vincent Smith. Okay. After that, probably interested in Le'Veon Bell. Mm-hmm. After that, maybe Jamison Crowder. And then
7,800 is just a little bit. If he was like 6,400, that's great.
Yeah, I'd love to throw the kicker in there. I mean, just like, any points, like maybe they get in the red zone, but get in the end zone. I mean, come on, man, that seems tough. But
wrap it up with. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm not even going to man, Boston Scott was on the banking team last showdown slate. So I'm going to say that we can get gross on these showdown slates. And if you want to play a guy like Braxton Berrios for 200, he saw 3% of the snaps last week on a slate that Demaryius Thomas played 50% of the snaps. If you take away those 50% and Braxton Berrios runs 10 to 15 routes and catch. I mean, we saw him in a similar game.
Vincent Smith is going to be way higher owned than.
Yeah, and if exactly. I mean, that's if Vincent Smith is going to be 50 times his ownership, which might be if he comes in at 0.2% owned and Vincent Smith comes in at 50% owned or 40% owned, that's pretty excessive. So it's just it's a play. No one saw Boston Scott was 0.2% owned. Sometimes you got to get gross on these slates, and he's got that little added benefit of returning kicks and punts.
I was just gonna say that.
He could house run like Deontay Johnson, get you 6 points on the main slate just like that. I don't. Man, it's you got to mention these plays on slates like this, and I think it's obviously not an optimal play, and Justice Hill might just be a better play straight up for 200, but. It's there, A similar game where the Jets got walloped by New England and Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts all game. Braxton Berrios got 6 targets for what it's worth. 2 catches, 6 targets. If they get blown out again, he could definitely see some snaps and catch some passes from Darnold.
All right. Enough Braxton Berrios.
Dude, I'm just saying. All
right, wrapping it up with the Ravens defense, last option on the slate. Not literally the last option, just like Adi said, use them as a stacking option mostly for if you're going, Gus Edwards going to correlate very well with the Ravens defense, of course. They're fine in cash, honestly. If you play them in cash team, I would be okay with it.
They're way fine in cash.
Yeah.
I love them.
I mean, they're going to get tons of pressure in this game. They're going to create a few turnovers more than likely. That gives you a floor of 6 points, probably. Yeah. I feel pretty confident about. So,
I mean, these guys got 5 defensive touchdowns on the year. Pretty good. I just cannot envision any success, and I cannot envision any success with this Jets offense. Yeah. So this Ravens defense probably going to come in higher than 60% owned in cash games. I would not be surprised. So I like it. I like it a lot.
Cool. All right, that wraps it up. Again, don't forget to check out Prizepicks. We gave you guys some of our favorites: under on Darnold, over on Jackson, under on Anderson, over on Brown. Yeah, those are probably our favorites on the slate. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys for our NFL videos later this week, as well as NBA videos the rest of the week. Obviously, Ish, hit us up, and we will see you guys back here next time.
Peace.